Hello, third grade. I have three more stories in Goa, the Wise Fool, that, as promised, I'm going to share with you this week. The first one is called Goa Gives His Son a Lesson About Life. Goa was a man who didn't worry about what other people might think about him. Do what you believe is right, he would say, and let people think what they like. I think that's good advice. But Goa had a son who was always worrying about what people would say or think about him. Goa wanted to teach him a lesson. So Goa saddled his donkey and asked his son to accompany him to the next village. With Goa riding the donkey and his son walking behind them, they passed by some men gathering at a coffee shop. "Look at that selfish man who rides the donkey and makes his poor son walk," one man whispered to another. So Goa got down from the donkey and told his son to get on. Goa would walk. Now they passed by another gathering of people at a marketplace who pointed at the boy. "Just look at that boy, letting his poor father walk. He has no manners and no respect for grown-ups." So Goa climbed up behind his son and they both rode the donkey. "Poor donkey," some people said, standing near the road. "Hmm, how unfair that he has to carry the man and the boy." So Goa and his son carried the donkey between them. "Now let's see what people have to say," Goa said. Of course, now everyone laughed at them. How ridiculous of that madman and his son trying to carry the donkey instead of riding it. When the donkey was once again walking on its own four legs, Goa turned to his son and said, "You should know, my son, that in life it is impossible to please everyone. So do not spend time worrying about what people think." Good lesson. So there is Goa on the donkey with his son walking, and there is two of them walking that are carrying the donkey. Goa decides to buy a new donkey. Nothing was more important to Goa than his donkey. It was not only his way of getting around the town and of visiting his friends, which he liked to do, but he was also really fond of his donkey, which he had had for many years. But one day a friend suggested to Goa that he should get himself a new donkey, one that was younger, more comfortable to ride, and perhaps able to run faster than his present donkey. Goa scratched his head and said to himself, "Maybe he's right. It is time to get a new donkey." Before getting himself a new donkey, though, Goa had to sell his present one. So he took his donkey to the market and handed it over to the man who bought and sold donkeys, mules, and horses. Immediately, the turbaned man announced in a loud voice, "Donkey for sale!" And a large crowd gathered. The man stepped around the donkey, showing it to the gathering crowd, and began describing it. "Look what a fine donkey I have here! The best!" he shouted as he stroked the donkey's ears. "See how quiet and gentle it is. Look at its powerful muscles." More and more people circled the donkey. "Why, this animal is more like a racehorse than a donkey." Having listened to all this praise of his donkey, Goa couldn't help thinking to himself, "Good heavens, that's just the sort of donkey I'm looking for." And he stepped up to buy his own donkey. And what are you eating? Sorry, my Macy is here chewing on the cover of a USB drive. Um, all right, last story in this collection is called Goa Outthinks the Three Wise Men. Three wise men from a faraway country came to the town in which Goa lived. During the dinner the governor gave for them at the palace, the three men asked if in the town there were wise men to whom they could put certain difficult questions. The governor scratched his head and then thought of Goa, who had the reputation for being able to answer difficult questions in a clever way. "Bring Goa to the palace," he ordered one of his men. So Goa dressed up in his best clothes and wound around his head the biggest possible turban so as to make himself look like a wise man. In the courtyard of the palace, Goa found that all the town's leading citizens had come to see how he was going to answer the questions of the three wise men. No sooner had he dismounted from his donkey than the first wise man came up to Goa and said, "Tell us, O wise sheikh, where is the middle of the earth?" Without a second's hesitation, Goa pointed with his stick to the spot where the donkey had placed its left foot. "Just under there," said Goa, "is the exact middle of the world." "What proof do you have of that?" demanded the first wise man. "If you refuse to take my word for it," answered Goa, "then dig down and see for yourself. If you find that I am wrong, then you have every right to call me an ignorant fool." The three wise men exchanged looks and kept silent. Then the second wise man asked, "How many stars are there in the sky?" Without any hesitation, Goa answered, "The very same number as the hairs on my donkey." "Well, how do you know that?" demanded the second wise man. "If you don't believe me, then count the hairs on my donkey," said Goa. Sorry, I'm trying to do the picture and read the other side of the page. "And how could anyone possibly count the hairs on a donkey?" the second wise man asked angrily. "And the stars in the sky?" Goa answered him. "Can they be counted?" The three wise men just looked at one another. They had no answer for that. Then the third wise man asked, "All right, if you have an answer for everything, how many hairs are there on my head?" Right away, Goa replied, "The very same number as the hairs on my donkey's tail." "And how can you prove that?" asked the third wise man, certain that he had stumped Goa. "Pull one hair from your head, and then one hair from my donkey's tail. If in the end you have the same number of hairs from your head as from my donkey's tail, then I am right. If you do not, then I am wrong." The three wise men burst into laughter. "Bravo!" they said. "Sheikh Goa, you have shown yourself to be a man of great wisdom. How were you able to give us such clever replies to questions to which most people have no answers?" Goa said to them, "If you are faced with a question to which there is no sensible answer, then any answer will do."